Having a successful client meeting is extremely important. Today, I want to help you and your team accelerate results. And if you keep watching, I'm going to share with you 3 tips for better client meetings that you as a leader can adopt and leverage with your team. I want to share with you a strategy I learned years ago that I'm still using consistently today for all important meetings that I attend, whether that's with a client or a prospect. This technique is extremely effective, especially when you're bringing in multiple people from your company. See, because whenever you're bringing in a team of people, right, to any type of meeting, there's challenges that emerge that need to be addressed. And to my opinion, there's 4 key ones. First is getting everybody on the same page and singing from the same song sheet, right? That sounds simple, but it's not that easy, right? 2 is delivering value and thought leadership. And by the way, value, in my opinion, is determined by the client or prospect themselves. 3 is ensuring people don't overstep each other or maybe say something that doesn't need to be said. And 4 is following up on the action items identified in the meeting in a timely manner. The framework that I'm about to share addresses these challenges. It's extremely simple, it's extremely easy to remember, and best of all, it's universally applicable in every type of meeting. I call this framework brief, execute, debrief. Let's dive in and walk through each area. Anytime you're bringing in multiple people that's going to attend a meeting, anybody in the meeting is going to fall into 1 of 2 categories. Either they're facilitating the meeting or they're part of the supporting cast. And if you're in charge of facilitating a meeting, you have a responsibility to brief everybody beforehand. On the other hand, if you're joining a coworker meeting, you also have a responsibility to ensure that you're briefed ahead of time. In my opinion, this is a shared responsibility. It goes both ways. Let's unpack what I mean by brief. First of all, what's the agenda, right? I personally believe every meeting should have an agenda. An agenda defines the purpose of the meeting. The agenda is not something you wing or reveal for the first time at the beginning of the meeting, because that's going to catch people off guard. In my opinion, the agenda needs to be shared before the meeting with every participant, and it needs to be communicated also with the client. Because in my opinion, the most successful meetings is when you and the client agree beforehand on the topics you're going to cover and in what order. I know this sounds like common sense, but guess what? Common sense is not always common practice. I've had some people tell me that this isn't always practical, that they attend way too many meetings, that they can't craft an agenda for all of them. And my response is, seriously? How long does it really take? Agenda doesn't have to be complex. It could be 3 to 5 bullets. Think about that. You should be able to articulate your thoughts on what you want to cover when you put together a calendar invite. Here's the 3 things I want to cover. Having a simple agenda, right, keeps everybody on track. Let's continue to unpack this. What's the goal of the meeting? What are you trying to accomplish? What role is everybody expected to play? Because if you don't have a role, why are you even there, right? What obstacles do you anticipate emerging during a meeting? That's a really important question to think about ahead of time. Why? So you're better prepared to address them and alleviate their concerns when they occur. And the follow-on question that you have to think about for that is, who's going to answer them, right? Who's going to address those concerns if they emerge? That's one of my favorite pregame questions to get people on the same page. I love to get that out on the table ahead of time. For example, let's just say I'm the person that's a salesperson. If that's the case, I'll say I'll handle all questions related to price and negotiation. Direct them to me. If maybe I identify someone else to handle questions related to implementation, and maybe someone else is going to address questions related to support. Just as an example, right? I have found that identifying roles ahead of time puts you in a position to present a unified image and minimizes any risk of overstepping each other in front of the client. Lastly, ensure that everybody, right, does their homework on the people who are participating. If you're leading a meeting, you have a responsibility to also share what you know about the people you're going to be meeting with, right? What's important to them? What are some of their hot buttons? Why? So people can avoid them, right? At the very least, you should encourage people to look up the client or the participants in the meeting on LinkedIn. Look for areas of common interest, right? Maybe you went to the same college. Maybe you lived in the same town. Maybe you have a mutual connection or a friend. You never know what kind of information you might uncover that serves as a great conversation starter, right? A lot of people know that I come from upstate New York, right? I can't tell you the number of people that right there alone has served as a great conversation starter for me. I became immediate friends with people from upstate New York when I find that somebody went to a similar college or knows a similar person from upstate. Really cool. As you close your briefing session, review meeting logistics simply to ensure that everybody's on the same page and knows the details. Taking the time, whether it's 5 minutes or 30, to brief your team ahead of time always proves to be extremely beneficial. If nothing else, it removes any ambiguity or any anxiety about the meeting. If you have any additional best practices that you found to be really helpful for you and your team, do me a favor, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them, and I'm confident others will as well. Okay, let's talk about execution. The next element of the framework is to execute according to the plan. There is nothing more frustrating than when someone on your team calls an audible that throws everybody off track. My advice, stay on topic. Execute according to the pregame plan. Everybody should participate and provide an opportunity to add their thought leadership where it's appropriate. It's important to remember that you challenge ideas, not people. You can build a lot of rapport with people when you workshop ideas together. Avoid side conversations, right? And whenever you do, turn off your cell phone, right? I can't tell you, once again, it sounds like common sense, but it's not always common practice. I can't tell you the number of meetings or video calls I've been on when some crazy, ridiculous ringtone goes off. It's wicked distracting. Lastly, take a lot of notes. I get really upset with colleagues who don't take notes. Whether you're on video or not, take notes. Well, taking notes sends a positive signal that you're detail-oriented, and it also helps you remember action items and other relevant points. Okay, last but not least, debrief. This is important, probably the most overlooked aspect of any meeting, because why? Everybody's in such a rush to get to the next meeting. I discovered that the more meetings I have, the more important it is for me to debrief. I don't know about you, but I have way too much stuff pouring through my head to remember everything. A quick debrief session with the people who attended the meeting with my team saves me a lot of time later. Share what you learn and observe. It's a proven fact. Two people can sit in the same meeting. They can hear the same thing, but they can interpret things completely different. And when you gain everybody's perspective, in my opinion, that's pure gold. What went well? What didn't go as intended? What would you do differently next time? This is a learning opportunity and oftentimes presents a teachable moment for those who might be more junior. What action items were captured? Who owns them? And what are the expectations regarding the follow-up? I can't tell you the number of times I witnessed teammates getting pissed off at each other later because expectations on a follow-up weren't clearly defined. Make sure you coordinate, at the very least, who's going to send a follow-up email to the client that's going to outline agreed upon next steps and action items. And by the way, that's a really good best practice. It's best to do this the same day, and if that's not always possible, at least within the next 24 hours. Brief, execute, debrief. This is a simple framework. It's also easy to remember, and best of all, it ensures a successful and effective client meeting. Whether it's business, your team, or yourself, if you want to unlock the logjam that typically stands in the way of success, I encourage you or maybe somebody in your team to sign up for our next Move the Needle challenge, and I'll personally help you. I'll personally work with you or somebody in your team to move the needle on something important for yourself, for your team, or your business. If you're interested, the link's in the description. Also, if you or maybe some of your team needs a little extra guidance, maybe they got to want to help getting the right mindset, right, for an effective client interaction. Maybe they're kind of stuck in their own self-doubt. I also included a link in the description for a free masterclass I offer. It's called Mindset Shift, where I help people kind of shift their mindset and gain the courage to overcome self-doubt in any situation. The link I also is included for that in the description. Again, if you're interested. Okay, if you like this video, do me a favor, right? Give it a thumbs up, share a comment related to your business, and of course, subscribe, because each week I'm putting out content to help you and your team to embrace change, focus your efforts, and accelerate results. We'll talk to you soon.